do you go from less than 10,000 monthly listeners to over 4 million monthly listeners as an artist in only 2 months? Today, we're going to talk about an artist that did exactly that and give you some of our case study walkthrough of what happened to make it happen and maybe what you could copy or even do better instead. And this is yet another episode of No Labels Necessary. All right. Today we got to talk about an artist by the name of 4Bats. This man is going crazy. Like I said, less than 10K monthly listeners to 4.2 monthly listeners as we speak. 4.2 million, my bad. I forgot a lot of zeros. In 2 months. And it all started on the outside, right, with one video. Ironically, a video style that's been spoken down upon by another artist recently, which I don't look, man, y'all shouldn't take all y'all advice from an artist because this man just blew up with the type of video style that another artist said that, no, it's lame, man. So let's speak on this. I want to play a clip. We can't play long because we're on the YouTube and stuff. Yeah. Try to make some sense, man. I might just call and catch a play. All right, so I'm gonna keep playing the video. So those of y'all who are looking, you can see this video, and for those of y'all who are listening on Spotify and other DSPs, I'm gonna let you know, like, the voice that you just heard was a male artist. He has on a shiesty or a ski mask, if you will. All right. He has all black. He has on golds, and he's standing in front of your typical project type, like a Southern project, not like a up north project style building. You got grass and stuff. Right. But that's what's happening. Right. And when you hear that voice, then a big part of why this blew up. Yes, musically, it's good. Right. Dope even. However, a lot of the feedback was, yo, I didn't expect this dude to sound like this because of the look that he's presenting.
Look like 21 Savages is singing like the 5 Heartbeats.
Most specifically, you'll see people saying comments like, this is the hood Brent Fayez. Yep. You'll see a lot of that, right? So that's a huge part of this blow up. We're going to get into other elements, but a key element, and I haven't done anything on this in years now. This is like OG channel when I would talk about unique pairings, right? You take one element and put it with another element that seems to conflict. And then when you put them in the same package, it appears to be unique. Now people are more attractive to it. Well, actually, you get more people who hate it and more people who love it, which is what you need. You want to create some energy, right? Now is worth talking about. It's not the norm. So to see a guy who looks like a hood artist, right? Hood rapper, basically, in terms of how most people would stereotype it. But he sounds smooth and sultry, right? With a higher pitched voice. That's breaking people's pattern, right? It's a pattern interrupt. Now I'm paying attention. And then beyond that, it gives the song a chance. Is it good or not? Because this wouldn't have went this far. Like the video we're looking at has 163,000 likes. That's just the likes. So what is it? Probably like something mil? Yeah, 2-3 mil. Right? Like it wouldn't have had the chance to go this far if it was bad, unless it was like comically bad. And now we're just going viral for a different reason. Right. And before you talk, I want to add one more example. All right. Of this to the idea of the unique pairing. One, we had Rumor. Right. Yeah. He wore it wasn't a ski mask. It was a Scully. It was like the Scully with the eyes, though, right? And he's an R&B sounding dude as well, right? Different type of R&B voice, but really good music. Same thing, pattern interrupt, right? I would always say, like, use examples like if you look at somebody like The Rock being really swole, right? But then also if he would be like with the baby or something like that, it's like, oh, swole man, but being soft, right? You see the soft side that you wouldn't expect, or how they'll stereotype like a beautiful woman, they might not expect her to be smart, right? Those kind of stereotypes exist. And then, oh, okay, now that's something that you're not used to. There's all kind of stereotypes with being, let's just say in this case, right? A dark-skinned black man or whatever. And then you add a social voice. So it's positive, negative stereotypes. You can use people's ignorance against them.
Yeah, and you just made me think about something too. In his case, you know, you look back at him. This wasn't his first time attempting to be active around the song, but this was the post that hit, right? Now, if you're familiar with For Shooters Only is typically a marketplace for the hood rap. Now, they have been other types of artists that have hit the platform, but if you're being real, 60 to 70% hood rap. Definitely not singers. They're usually not singers. So he comes onto the platform. He looks like the type of person that would typically make sense on here. But then when he starts playing his music, it doesn't sound like something we would typically hear. Not only does he visually stand out, he also auditorily stands out based on what we're used to seeing from that platform. And so I think that's a good point to make, because I think sometimes people will look at these platforms. I've seen artists say, I can't go on For Shooters Only trap music, right? Like, that platform doesn't make sense for me. That could be a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be a breath of fresh air to that community.
Yeah, come as you are.
Because like, if he had did this on Colors or like R&B Radar or something, I don't know if this would have hit the
I don't think so.
Yep.
I don't think so. Yeah, so yeah, like you said, it's the unique pairing of the individual package, but then also the platform he packaged himself on. That's placement in marketing.
Yep. And I think another good thing too, I use all of it as an example for, I guess we never really put this out, but when we were running the TikTok boot camp, right, teaching people about video hooks. And so the most popular video hook is the text-based hook. You know, put a cool caption on the screen and that's what you're gonna see in 80 to 90% of your shorts.
But it makes some people lazy.
Yeah, it makes a lot of people lazy because they don't focus on the visual. But what I haven't seen get talked about a lot outside of us in that classroom setting is the other two types of hooks, which are visual hooks and auditory hooks.
Mm-hmm.
Break that down for y'all. Text hooks are words on the screen. Your visual hook can be you, something in the background, something that visually catches your eye about the video. And your auditory hook, same thing. Some sound catches your attention. It could be the music itself. There was the Alexa Capelli situation we had with the screen. That was an auditory hook, right? And so he's hitting 2 or 3 of those things, right? He doesn't have a text-based hook on this particular video, but there's a visual hook, right? Like you said, there's a contradiction on how he looks. And he has an auditory hook, which is a contradiction with his voice, I think.
I think it's a couple more things, right? Because, say the first one you said?
Text, visual, auditory.
Well, no, I'm talking about.
Oh, the hooks, yeah. So I think he hits the visual hook because, like you said, the look, and the auditory hook because of how the song sounds with the high pitch thing.
All right, bet. So I think the visuals go on multi levels. Like when we mentioned about, you talked about this is already for shooters only from the block, right? Bam. So I see the logo, I know the platform, so I'm paying attention to that, right? And then secondly, like, you know what I mean? Something even without the branding of them is the mic.
Yeah, you recognize that.
You just, they so this is a whole nother, I'm gonna go sub, Corey interrupting, but it got me about to go another valuable direction actually. So this is perfect. So I always try to make sure people understand the value of branding, and the value of branding does not come from doing something crazy. It comes from just doing something multiple times consistently, right? And it can be simple and consistent. For in this case, a mic drop was not unique for shooters only. Yet they owned it by doing a bunch of videos like that, where there's a huge community who thinks of them once they see a mic falling from the air. He owned something that wasn't abnormal, but he abnormally owned it. You know what I mean?
I agree, because now when I see a mic drop video and it's not followed by the For Shooters Only logo, I feel.
Now, exactly. That's like some off-brand. They took something everybody was doing and made your regular stuff feel off-brand. That is literally the power of branding. If y'all get anything from this video, ironically unrelated to the case study explicitly, that is so powerful, bro. You can literally take something from somebody, and people do it all the time. It's like, oh yeah, it's almost like a sample, right? Oh yeah, like how they do old school songs. You got this 4-minute song, but like for 5 seconds, dang, you just did something crazy. And know what I'm gonna do in my rap song? I'm gonna take that 5 seconds and loop that thing for 4 minutes instead of just be 5 out of 4 minutes. And next thing you know, I own it, right? On a whole nother level. So that, right? But back to what I'm saying from it. So so you got the visual hook. You got to do like the look that he has. That makes you pay attention. Then you got the visual hook on another level of, you have the platform recognition, right? 1, he has the logo, but 2, when you see that mic drop, you're already going to have some expectation for it to be that brand, especially if it looks like a more, hood rap branding and location and vibe. But 3, prior to for shooters only owning this, and it's still going to happen, a mic in front of an artist alone creates an expectation. You're like, oh, they're about to perform. They're about to do something. So you'll listen. You might give them at least 3 seconds just to see if this person's going to be trash or not. Like, even if I'm scrolling, I'm not looking for artists or this doesn't look like the type of artist I want to hear. Like, let me hear this trash real quick. And that's enough time where you might capture them based on whatever you do, right? So when you add the power of, ooh, there's a mic, this person's about to do something, and this guy kind of looks interesting, and then you add, well, within that 3 seconds, he's breaking the pattern because he sounds nothing like what you expected, that's going to automatically buy you another 10 seconds to see how this thing continue to goes. And then, the story is what it was.
Yeah, right. You touched on it. The music has to be good for all of that to carry. Because like you said, there's that first second you get, let's say from the logo and the mic, that buys you the first 2 seconds. The look buys you another 2 or 3. Like you said, the curiosity about it might buy you another 5. And then we're at 10 seconds. And everything beyond that, the person on the other side likes the music. The music is good to them, which you can't beat. But you can trick 10 seconds out of them, which could still move the video. But that don't lead to 4 million monthly listeners.
Exactly. Oh yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. I remember working a campaign, and it was more advising one of the guys who was in our boot camps, and then helping him with some things. And look, the song wasn't great, man. It just wasn't. However, we were able to catch something, find a little sliver for people to hold on to. And I don't even know if I told you that it went this far, because it did over 1 million videos on TikTok. Videos created to it and only had like 1.5 million streams. Exactly. Yeah, it wasn't good, bro. The song wasn't good, man. The song was
like every person that made a video gave it at least 1 stream and never went back.
Yeah, bro. Like, it just is what it is. So when y'all think that people can force stuff down people's throat, when y'all think just because y'all had these numbers, they will translate, any other video by our typical metrics, right? Any other campaign that did that type of numbers and video creates, which we actually did have a couple around that at that time, you're talking about like low end. Like we had some doing hundreds of millions at that time. Because that was what 2020, 2021. Yeah. Exactly. This is what I'm saying. So now with that being said, we already kind of touched on this second part of the campaign, but we have to break down another perspective of it. So we mentioned, he's on a platform, right? Right, and this platform had some unique qualities, but I want to make sure we straight up say, in terms of something that you can utilize for yourselves, and you said this right before, either before we hopped on, or maybe you said it earlier in the pod, and I just already forgot it was earlier in the pod. But if you don't have a platform, you can go on somebody's platform, right? So that was, in this case, this post is actually on his page. We should acknowledge that. But he got the benefits from the branding and stuff like this. But he was also posted on their platform too. Yeah, right? Instagram. Right, in the other places. So this goes into what we call social media PR. All right. But we've been doing this for years, a social media PR run, but really haven't put it out there like this to this level. And we got a whole new way we're approaching it this year. Corey, I'll let you break that down, kind of we can talk about the old and history behind it, but just break down what we're looking at in terms of social media PR runs this year. Hey, just want to drop this quick mention. If you're looking for help in blowing up your music and your career as a whole this year, at the beginning of every year, we open up to find new artists that we want to work with and continue to grow throughout the year, which has resulted in many of the big moments that you hear us talk about. So if this time we've opened up where you'll be able to see how we approach things from ground zero, digging into your brand identity, translating that into content, advertising, and full-blown campaigns that result in streams and real fans. And it's only $1. at www.nolabelsnecessary.com/30 days. I'll put a link in the description below. But beyond that process, we actually have ways to speak, get to know you, watch you grow throughout your process, so we can lean in and offer extra advising on how to navigate what you're going through in real time. So if you want some real help without having to sign your life away, check it out at www.nolabelsnecessary.com/30 days. Either way it goes, best of luck to you in your career. We've been doing this for years, a social media PR run, but really haven't put it out there like this to this level. And we got a whole new way we're approaching it this year. Corey, I'll let you like break that down. Kind of like we can talk about the old and history behind it, but like just break down what we're looking at in terms of social media PR runs this year.
So a lot of it is borrowing from traditional music industry mechanic in terms of other runs, right? So we saw in the 80s and 90s where, like magazine runs were really popular. We saw in the 90s and 2000s and even the 2010s where these DJ freestyle runs were really popular. Make their ways to all the poppin' DJs. Now we're entering an era where that same run makes sense to do with these different platforms, right? So the great thing about what platforms like For Shooters Only, On the Radar, even bigger ones like Tiny Desk and Colors, the great thing about those platforms is they have inspired other great platforms to jump into the game. And, what's great about that is that before, if you wanted to do this type of run, the only real platforms there were Tiny Desk, Colors, Vivo has something. I feel like there might be one more I might be missing. Genius, right? And Genius were really like the main four. I will argue before a lot of these started to pop up, and they were all really, really high tier platforms you were not getting on unless you were making some major motion. You know what I'm saying? For Shooters Only, On the Radar, platforms like that came up, opened the door. And like you said, because of it, you're starting to see a lot of other really unique platforms start to pop up that are getting artists the opportunity to not only build their audience, but also get some really cool content made. We don't know if Forbats had the resources to make this quality of content on his own. You know what I'm saying? But he was able to outsource it by going through other people. So what we're going to be focused on for this year is being the facilitator for artists to these platforms. So we have a network of these platforms across most of the major markets, Atlanta, LA, New York, working on some of the other markets. You know what I'm saying? As we kind of build things. And yeah, man, we want to help artists be able to, like you said, not only go on these runs and use these other platforms, audiences to build their own, but also get some really unique content out of that run that allows us to amplify it in more traditional ways, like the influencer marketing, the ads and things like that. But we're, taking an approach where I would say, since we've been in business, we've typically come in at step 2. Step 2 is typically when the music is, I take it back. Step 3. Step 1 is typically make the song. Step 2 is typically make the content. Step 3 is typically push it out, right? Now we're stepping up and becoming facilitators at step 2 that allows us to maximize step 3. You know what I'm saying? Which is something that's not necessarily new for us, but it's something that we haven't ever really made public. You had to know just to know.
That is true. Yeah, we've shot a lot of content for artists and facilitated platforms, but yeah, that is something we'll be public about now going forward into this year. Obviously, that's one of those things y'all just reach out. Y'all know the agency website and stuff like that if y'all want are looking for something like that. But even greater, just understand the impact of this strategy in general and how you can use it for yourself without us as well. Because these platforms, you can hit them all up, right? Or find more platforms. There's a lot of them out there. And the big thing about it is, right, again, it's not just social media PR, the PR run. Like Corey mentioned something very popular. I'm going to go to all these radio stations, I'm going to do freestyles, right? Just interviews, right? In general, I go to all the stations in Atlanta, all the stations in New York, all the stations in whatever other markets, all right? And now I'm getting my name out there. A cool thing about these platforms is although they're on the internet and they do ultimately have overlap, like they are rooted in where they're from. If you look at a lot of their following, because naturally what happens is if I'm a videographer and I decide, I want to start a content series, I'm going to start reaching out to the artists around me. Now they're more connected and you could probably get people from far more reaching than where you were initially. But, like On the Radar, started off very New York heavy. All right. For Shooters Only, start off a little bit more on that Southern tip. And there's platform after platform. So the beauty of that is when you go on these different platforms, there will be some overlap, right? But then there's also a new market at the same time. And both of them are beneficial, right? Overlap so I can appear omnipresent, and then, right, new market so I can, find some fresh meat.
That's a good point that I didn't think about, right? And I think that is a good thing about these platforms taking off is, you're right, it allows you to be more micro in it. The bigger markets have more of them. Obviously, that's typically how it works. But I've seen really cool platforms in like New Jersey. I've seen really cool platforms in parts of Texas. My homie just connected me to a really cool platform, and I think they're in like Seattle or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you said, I'm 100% sure this is the year where a lot of these production companies are gonna see that I have equipment, I have a love for music, I have a location, or I can get a location. Why not? And there are some of you that are listening, and you're gonna say, why would I want to get on a platform that's not as big as 4 shooters only? And what you said is why you want to do that. Hey, I can hit these bigger platforms to get more mass appeal, but if I want to go win over Atlanta, I should maybe go do a platform that maybe doesn't extend beyond Atlanta, but in this scenario isn't necessarily a bad thing because I'm here to win over Atlanta.
Exactly. So the social media PR run is a real thing. Like I said, we specified like platforms in this look, but even prior to this, the way we were doing it over the last few years, when we could convince somebody to do it and doing the work that was required, is all these platforms that have any type of platform are worth going on, period, right? It's like when Golden was on Hello Yasin, something people wouldn't have thought of, but some of his audience is watching it, right? So if your audience might watch NBA videos and memes, it's one thing to be like, oh, you're really giving out sauce, but hey, we've been doing it for years, you know what I mean? And now, when I find it more when we put stuff out, it actually helps the market put the conversation out there. So then it makes it easier for us to like convince clients. That's like, see, bruh, now they think they bringing the idea to us. It's like, y'all don't know, we put the idea out there. so I'm gonna go ahead and say, like, all right, it's more commonplace to think, oh snap, like I don't have to just be straight up regular music market. I could go to a market a page related to my niche. So let me put my music behind some of these NBA videos if my fans are into basketball. But what about going live with that NBA page, right? Like it's almost like a little interview, having a conversation. There's other ways that you can utilize that platform and make it a bigger part of your run, give them a look. Now, depending on your size will determine your leverage in that conversation and their willingness to do it. You might have to shell out more money or no money, right? That all depends, but it's valuable and you can hit all of your fans. And when you see Nicki Minaj on Kai Cenat, it's that. But they weren't doing this stuff back then. Like this, we were having this conversation before, like all these people hopping on Kai Cenat. Like he's now just a go-to stop. Like, you know what I mean? Right? The first couple of people on there were like, oh, the creative social media PR run is what we are talking about. But now, one, that's just a staple. A lot of people are going to use it because it's such a powerful platform and they understand that platform. But two, he's so big. I mean, most artists can't do that, right? So it just doesn't count. But we're talking about thinking creatively beyond the people who are already a certain size and collaborating on a deeper level with these people. So we have the social media PR in terms of just go to these straight music platform pages, borrow their platform. Social media PR runs from a standpoint of like getting on pages in general that might have something to do with your genre and knocking out a bunch of them. And then we have the Cameo. I call all these Cameo in one umbrella, but like the Cameo style where you're getting in directly with influencers, not just other pages. All right, that was something that was pretty heavy with Golden at the very beginning. Like popping up in all these different influencers videos. Like, oh snap, I was on Corey's page and I just saw this artist in a video with Corey. Oh snap, they're in a video with Sean. Oh snap, insert whatever other like people I'm following and I just see this person all the time, not even necessarily playing their music, right? Just being involved in whatever my world is. So like it's something that's really powerful and he did it on a small level, right? But let's get back to Because we and you just had to mention going deeper into it so people can see how you could better utilize it. But let's get back into a question around him. The industry plant conversation. You know, it rises in anybody that rises. You know what I mean?
Especially as fast as he did.
You see success, the hate, the doubt, it must come. Now, y'all know how I feel about the industry plant conversation. However, I know everybody doesn't have the conviction that I have against the industry plant conversation. All right. For y'all who don't know, y'all are new. I don't like the industry plant conversation. I feel like it's a distraction from the quality of music. All right. I feel like it's a way to now blame somebody's success or dismiss somebody's success in order to validate where you are or aren't. All right. But the argument alone is, again, is the music good or not? That's all that I care about, right? So, with that being said, we still gonna have this conversation. Is he an industry plant or not? There's a couple of reasons people believe he is, and I'm gonna go by y'all's definition since I don't like this conversation, but I understand the definition and why it matters. Corey, what were some key things that happened with Buddy?
There was a couple of things, and I fuck with you, bro, because I feel like you're going to see this video coming out, you know what I'm saying? But it is looking a little suspicious, man, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't looking super suspicious at first, but the last couple of weeks it has been looking pretty suspicious. The first instance where I ever heard him being called an industry plant is because he was on 4 Shooters Only. But as a person that facilitates the platforms like that, it's just invalid to me. Because, you know, to your point, if they like the artist enough, they don't really care how big you are. As long as you're willing to pay and they think you're going to hit, they'll be willing to work with you. So that was the first instance I saw people saying like, oh, he's on his first 1 or 2 songs ever and he's on 4 Shooters Only. That was the first instance. Now,
let's do point for point.
Okay.
There's an artist that I recently advised to get on a platform that people might think of like that. But all he had to do was pay to get on the platform. I was like, hey, bro, you should get on that platform. And Buddy doesn't have much going on for himself, but I felt like it made sense for him to begin documenting himself on that particular page. All he had to do was pay. So that kind of goes to the argument. That doesn't mean you're an industry plant to be on a page like this that obviously will take money.
Do you know how to send an email and do you have money? That's it.
That's it.
Because 90% of the time, that's all that means. But that was the first instance, was him being on this. The second instance was, of course, how fast the video started to go viral. You know, anytime, like I said a few seconds ago, anytime something starts to move too fast, you know, because when we caught the video, it was at like 9,000 views. Like when our content person, I don't know what to call him, when our content person sent it to us to check it out, it was at 9 approaching 10,000 views. 2 or 3 days later, it was at a couple 100,000. A couple days after that, it was legitimately viral. You know what I'm saying? So how the speed of it made a lot of people suspicious. So we know, and I know what you're about to say, we know more of an algorithm thing than an industry plant thing. Because even we've talked about the delay of the algorithm before. So it took it 4 or 5 days seemingly after it was posted to go viral, but we've seen that before. You know what I'm saying?
I got points for and against this one.
Okay.
For him not being an industry plant, in this argument, I would say, yeah, like you said, you find the right little sliver of the algorithm, things can still move, right? And he has that unique pairing, that conversational piece of looking one way and sounding another. All that's going for him in not being an industry plant at the beginning. But, however, we know going viral quickly doesn't happen as much as it used to. And we know for a fact, and by we, I mean me and you, are aware. We have seen instances. We have been a part of the instances where there is one of those buttons that literally can be pushed. This is like, hey, you hear about a button being pushed and it's like proverbial. When it comes to social media, there is a real button that can be pushed where we will say, hey, company. I feel like, you know, we said their name enough. People understand who we're talking about. Hey, social media platform, this video is doing pretty decent. Can you show us a little extra love? And then they'll throw that thing into the river and that thing will ride. And that just is what it is. That is the closest thing to a real button being pushed where they can give its extreme algorithmic favor or guarantee a certain amount of eyes can see it. However, I'll say this, since we are putting this out here, it's so amazing how at the end of the day, quality still wins out. Because even with this feature, the button being pushed, social media platform literally saying, oh, okay, we're going to put them in the algorithm and start showing them to everybody. They will. I've seen situations where, oh, this person got 4 million views because TikTok said, let's give them 4 million views. And them comments weren't hitting. All right.
4 million people that hate it.
Them likes, it looked like Buddy ran an ad. Like it was that bad because it just wasn't what it was. So again, still don't get it twisted. I don't want, like, there's reasons why we don't like invalidating artists completely just because they have money or they had a label or they had some kind of connection. I swear to you, I've seen it in 50 million ways that, bruh, if that content ain't hitting, bruh, it's not going to do what you want it to.
Yeah, bro. Like in the instance of the button, it's like, you know, like you said, does the button exist? Yes, in some mediums. But if it's bad, all you're doing is speeding up how fast, or speeding up how many people will hate it. Because without this amplification, it might have took decades for millions of people to hate this song. And you made it happen in a weekend. And that is a feat within itself. The other two things that are giving him the industry plant title is, you know, he started going viral roughly 2 months ago, like as of us recording this. As of a week ago of us recording this, he got to hop on a FaceTime with two pretty big artists, one being Drake and one being Kanye. And this is when it really started to be like, Now.
You said a week ago or a week after it went viral?
No, a week ago. A week ago as of us recording
like
this.
9 weeks in or something like that, whatever.
So this is the argument I made pre-podcast to Sean. He told me to save it for here, right? What I said to Sean is that I have been in situations before with labels where artists requested the support of another artist. And the label was like, hey, we gonna make that happen for you, right? And the point I did give to Sean, like I was saying, bro, if you listen to this, bro, I fuck with you, bro. But you know what I'm saying? This is what was suspicious to me, is that I can assume, let's just take label plant out of it. Let's just say he has a very well-connected person on his team that knows Drake and Kanye and was able to say, hey, my homie blowing up, you should fuck with him, right? Plausible. I've seen that before as well. And even someone like Drake has talked about, and I think Kanye too, talked about a similar situation. Someone close to him was like, hey, you should check this dude out. So it's very plausible. Now, I can assume that with all the industry connections that both of them have, that has to happen a lot. And I can assume that there are way more no's than there are yeses. And I can assume that I like to imagine that like once a week, somebody in the industry that's friends with Drake is like, hey, bro, check this bro out. And then Drake is like, all right, bet. And then puts his phone down and like takes a bubble bath or something. You know what I'm saying? That's what I feel like happened. And he don't really get to it. Kanye, the same thing. So then it makes you wonder like, hey, what about this situation made him take it? I will argue the music. And the point I made before also was like, well, Sean, well, Brand Man, he is the first legitimate viral act of the year. Maybe Drake and Kanye were just paying attention to the internet. And that's what made...
Doubtful. Before I speak on any of this, I want to know how do y'all feel about the scenario Corey painted from a standpoint of, if I'm an artist, I have a little motion, and I ask my team, right, hey, can you connect me with somebody? And then I get connected with that person, and they shout me out on social media, or I'm collabing in a video, right? Is that an industry plant situation? I think if we go by definition, haters would expand the definition to say yes. But by strict definition, people like to use the industry plant from a standpoint of the industry is putting this person in place, so then we own one of the cogs in the machine and everybody's being tricked. That is not that. That is not, hey, the artist got positioned with this other person and had no say or thought into it, right? That is, hey, I asked, I used my resources, and my resources happen to be different than yours. I think that's a little different than somebody putting somebody in place, all right, and doing something like that. Now, with that being, but you know, y'all say what y'all got to say to that. With that being said, bro, hey man, Drake though.
But Drake be on Instagram all the time. Like, I don't think it's wild to think that Drake saw this video.
That's the fairest point that can be used in response to what I'm about to say. Kanye though.
Kanye's about to put an album out though, so I can assume that he's on social media a lot more.
It's okay. It's not as strong as Drake. The Drake dude, like the response, like I said, that was gonna be your best response. Drake be out here skimming the internet, whether it's him or others, but he has a reputation of being on to things relatively early. Although I don't think he made as big as a pop culturally as when Drake typically hops in on situations. You know what I mean? But Drake's been known, like he'll still hop on some situations pretty early, and be aware of situations pretty early, even before like the mass part of like main hip hop culture knows about him. So again, Drake, plausible. But Drake and Kanye, especially when Drake and Kanye have Drake and Kanye's relationship, I don't know, man.
I get what you're saying. But then I feel like that counters your point. Because I can see one of them doing it and then the other one being like, oh, hell no, I'm not about to let him one-up me.
Nah, I can't see them doing that in this situation. I can see them doing it over like a random girl or something like that. But over an artist on the rise, and again, this don't have nothing to do with like how I feel about the artist. This is just the argument for the sake of argument, because as you've already heard me say, I don't care about the industry plant conversation. But if we go by definition, that right there, having them two, ugh.
Like I said, and once again, if you listening, I fuck with you, bro.
It's like a third time, bro. He gets it.
Cause like I was saying, I wasn't like when I
It
saw.
don't even matter because EJ gonna snip this up and take all that qualification out.
It was like when I would see those comments. Remember when Zach brought it up? I argued against it. I was like, no, bro, that doesn't make any sense. Until this happened, and that's when I was kind of like, actually, there was another thing that made me think that, and that was the day the video link popped up in his bio. That wasn't there when he first started going viral.
Oh yeah, no, because that was before this whole Drake and Kanye thing. You just told me about that before the pod today. When you showed me he had a video link. Vidya is just not a typical distributor that most artists think to go to. I'm not saying they're the hardest distributor to go to in the world, but how many of y'all know what Vidya is? Think about that in y'all's head. And I know some of y'all are saying no, but y'all know what United Masters are. Y'all have heard about CD Baby. Y'all have heard about Two Loss, because if y'all following this, shout out to Two Loss. There's a link we'll put on Two Lost below this video now that it's casually come up. No Empire, like it's not one of these names that you think of. You know what I'm saying? So why go to video? I'm just saying, again, you need people who are in the know. And I think whether industry plant or not, but he definitely has some smart, understanding people around him. That I can say. But I can't confirm the time, because what y'all aren't aware of, that does happen plenty of times. A situation like this can happen and then bam, someone could get picked up just that fast. And it doesn't mean you can have one viral video and somebody pick you up fast in all situations. But Lil Nas X situation got scooped up super quick. That was a very obvious gonna go super crazy situation. What's going on with here that I would scoop him up real quick, let's just say if he had no situation, is because you have a visual, right? There's this unique idea of like, dang, you have this rapper and he sounds like I wish I mentioned this earlier, and I know people are going to not be listening at this point. I'm going to get to something that y'all need to be aware of that makes this campaign so much sweeter. But like I see the vision, right? And it's not just about being viral. When you have a vision as an exec of what you could do with this artist, right? The next 5-10 moves that you can make with this artist. Oh yeah, let me try to scoop this up. You get what I'm saying? Like that'll happen in a second versus let me just see if this is going to stick. Let me see, like I need time, because I don't have a clear vision of where we go from here. That takes time. That's a lot of the thought process in the exec side. Now, what I forgot to mention, that's going to run this back. Y'all, I think you have any more industry plant like debate to make on this? Because I don't want to stop that conversation before I mention this other thing.
No, the last thing I was going to say, at least regarding the industry plant thing, is if he is an industry plant, then I think that we have to give kudos to the industry, because the people are always complaining that the industry isn't pushing talented artists.
No, man, we can't do that.
We got to, bro.
We
We got
can't
to.
do that,
If he is an
man.
industry plant, then whatever label or A&R or, to your point, person saw the vision, then hey, bro, need a raise. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, no, man, these people useless, bro. We can't do that. That would reveal the hypocrisy too much. Like we can't say that labels don't do shit for people and we don't need labels, but then blame artists and have it for having labels and that's the only reason they blew up.
All I'm saying is two things can exist. You can on one hand say, hey, I wish the industry would push more quality artists, and then on the other hand, demonize quote unquote industry plans.
Hey man, I look, it like I said, it is hypocrisy to say, oh, this artist only blew up because they have a label. Then on the other hand, labels don't do shit. So y'all got to pick a side on that one. But look, here's a really, 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 really great part of this whole campaign. It's so beautiful. What we failed to mention is y'all heard that little high pitch voice at the beginning, right? Singing the song. Go back to the beginning if you need to hear it. But also listen to this.
I might just call and catch a play.
Same song. And this was posted October 18th, 2023. The video that went viral was posted November 24th, 2023. All right. That's a month later. And if you listen, if y'all like remember what the original one sounded like that, the one we played earlier on, that was a higher pitch. So this artist didn't have that high, smooth voice. He had that lower voice. And that lower voice actually sounded a little Giveon pitch too. That's not his like straight voice either. Neither of those are his straight voice. But if you get in your marketing bag, and we do this all the time, we've seen many people do this. Oh, let me change the pitch and make it more viral. People like that sound and that vibe, right? I can see somebody saying, oh yeah, that I might just like ketchup, like, oh, that sounds cool. This sounds dope. It has good feedback. But what if we pitch this thing up? And when you look at the fact that it got pitched up in the same video that he decided to dress like this, right? That look, because he don't really do that in his other videos. That's not his look in his other videos back then. He don't even have no shiesty. He don't got, it's more R&B vibes. So the video that he decides to make his voice a high pitch using an effect, he also dressed as a rapper. And as you pointed out, then you look at a caption that blatantly calls out, does the face match the sound?
Yeah. Well, there is one thing I do want to say real quick, because I really feel like this video gonna go, and I don't want niggas to be on your ass about this. But both of these parts are from the same song.
It is?
Yeah, so like majority of the song is the high pitch version, and then like the last 30, 40 seconds of it drops down to the,
Even better.
So you're still right. They chose to focus on that part.
That's the important part. Yes, that is the important part. I didn't specify that it wasn't the same song, did I? Or something. All right, but I'm glad. I appreciate you got my back. I'm glad you got my back. Yes, but my point is the part that got played and amplified here was different than the part that got amplified earlier on. You know what I'm saying? And they knew. All right, you thought about it from a marketing standpoint. That all right, how do we contrast this and to like the caption? And here was the argument, right? Were they just in their marketing bag? Ja'Cory started to go look back at their last captions to judge the quality of the captions for your shooters and determine whether or not like, oh yeah, they just did it like that, or they were told to make that the caption. Y'all can go through the For Sure Only page and come to your own conclusion if the copy is as strong. But I think that's further argument for not necessarily industry plan or anything like that. I think it's just the importance of the marketing thoughtfulness that went into this. And this is why I say people don't spend enough time, right, on the front end. They get into spending their money and trying to get on these platforms or just create videos. And what if he just came on there looking and sounding like how he normally was looking and sounding and posting? That wouldn't have hit, all right? But just for a little bit more thought on the front end, for the exact same amount of time, he got an outsized return. Like that's what this marketing bag is, all right? And that's why we help artists go farther with less money when we do get in a situation where we help artists, because we can't take on that many campaigns. So when we mention us the fact that we do this. I want to make it clear we're not advertising for y'all to like just to hit us up and be here. A lot of y'all are aware that we've had to turn down very, very, very many people over the last 6 months.
But I mean, I think you hit the point, man, because you know, we talked about the V's video where he talked about platforms like this are corny or, you know, not useful. And, you know, as us doing what we do, we run into that same argument. I don't want to go on this platform like so many other people go. Right. And the argument I made with a client before is this mic that we're using right now, this Shure SM7B, is probably one of the most popular mics in the world. Thousands of people across the world use this microphone for whatever they create. But the difference is they all are creating different things with them, right? Somebody could come by this same mic and not be able to do a tenth of what we done with this exact same mic.
Not the mic.
That's how you use it. Exactly. I look at these platforms the same way. Are there dozens of artists that go on forest shooters only and on the block? Yeah, of course. They got a business. They got to do what they got to do. But how many think about it as intentionally as they, or he seems to have, and how many of them think like, hey, what is my best, how do I give myself the best chance to stand out on this platform and not be one of those artists that people look to and say, hey, he just got on it like everybody else did and just did exactly what everybody else do.
For sure. You got anything you want to add to this?
Nah, I think this was good, man. I mean, I do want people to know that this is purely speculation. You know, like we ain't been able to, you know, talk to bro. Hopefully he sees this, and if we're wrong about some stuff, he corrects us. And if we're right, I hope he just leaves like a flame emoji.
No, you can write a flame emoji if we wrong too. Cause he just like appreciate the attention, you know what I'm saying? Like, to be clear, like outside you saying speculation, like we weaved in and out of things that weren't necessarily related to him too. So just not to confuse people, like, you know, like we were talking more about some situations we were explicitly aware of some stuff happening as examples, but weren't expanding or like we know more about his situation and now we're kind of like subliminal. It wasn't no subliminal. This is just the fun shit we do with damn near everybody. When we see something moving and we like it, then we like to discuss. And this is just that conversation on footage. So shout out to Four Bats. Your music's dope. Hopefully you keep it coming, bruh. And other than, go ahead.
Yeah, nah, let me say this real quick too. There's gonna be a lot of people that caught him post-viral moment that may hear this and not believe us. And I want to say that although, once again, this was speculation, we were in a very unique position where we caught him right before he blew up. We posted him on the No Levels Necessary page like 2 days before he started going viral. So we saw what was up.
Y'all might think that we were part of the campaign rollout. We weren't.
Yeah, we weren't, yeah. Like we said, our content guy showed us to him, thought he was dope, thought we should post him. We were like, all right, cool, posted him. Our post started doing abnormally well, and that made us go back and look at his shit, and we noticed his shit was going viral at the time. And like I said, I remember when Zach dropped that video, and it had 9,000 views on it. Like, that's how early we were. We were there.
Back to the point, though. He had not had the viral moment yet. We posted him. We would not have posted him if we didn't think he was dope. Our content guy wouldn't have posted it. Send it to him if he didn't think he was dope. Like, it was all off the pure, like, oh yeah, this is dope. Like, and that's it. And we didn't expect it to do the numbers that it did or whatever, just because we were still building the page out. So yeah, a lot of great points. I hope y'all take this stuff to heart. And other than that, this is yet another episode of No Labels Necessary podcast. I am Brandman Sean.
And I'm Corey.
And we out.
Peace.